So can you just start by telling us your name and why you're at Dens Park today?
Sure. So my name is Sam Easton. I am the great-great-grandson of Archibald Leitch, who was the lead architect of the main stand that you see behind us, which is an unbelievable honour that I get to be here today.
And I believe you're working on a project about Archibald Leitch, and you're wanting to do more investigating into his background and the projects he was involved in.
Yeah, totally. I think so. What's happening at the moment in the modern game, obviously, is obviously clubs are moving towards more modern facilities, and that means that a lot of the grounds that Archie was involved with, which is quite a significant number in the UK, are starting to disappear. So what we're trying to do at the moment is sort of build some information to maybe go towards a biopic about Archie and about his life and about his career and about the impact that he had on the beautiful game, as it were.
You've got a real interest in his work. How did you get into that?
Yeah, so obviously through my family connection, as it were, it was always a point of pride. You know, so my family are from down south in England, and we're Tottenham fans predominantly, and so we always used to go to White Hart Lane, which is another one of Archie's grounds. And my dad would always mention, you know, well, this is a ground that was sort of built by a member of your family, and that was always a point of pride for us. But it never really went further than that. But over the last few years, Archie's biographer, Simon Inglis, he has been reaching out with potentially sort of, while the landscape has changed in football, potentially trying to build up that kind of recognition for Archie. So he contacted members of the family, and I've been such a huge fan of the game, such a huge fan of Archie's work for such a long time, and been so proud of that connection that I felt that it was probably the right time for me to step it up and really get involved and try and do as much research as I can, get involved with as many clubs as I can, and Dundee have been absolutely fabulous in helping us out with that so far today.
Do you feel that this is the right time? Because as you mentioned, obviously White Hart Lane, Tottenham moved a number of years ago, Everton from Goodison, obviously Dundee have plans for a new stadium in the future. Is this your opportunity to really take in these stadiums at the moment?
Well, I mean, just being here today, you know, this is, I think what's funny is that I was very lucky to meet one of the members of the Historical Society here, Jim, and I was talking about how, you know, to the naked eye, as it were, it's nothing special, but ultimately that's kind of what was so special about Archie, was that he was so sort of rudimentary in what he was able to put together. But I think what's fascinating about now is that the focus in kind of new architecture and new stadium building is, you know, visually, you know, it's stunning architecture is kind of the primary focus, really, and the focus is less on the fan experience, the game, the football itself. And I think ultimately what Archie was so synonymous with was the game, and I think that's what helped build the notoriety of the game at large, really, in the early 20th century. So I think right now, it could not be a better moment, I think, with where the game is at, you know, globally. The game is, you know, it's the biggest thing in the world, surely. And I think there are so few. I mean, what's been really great about this process has been learning how many more than I even thought were interested in Archie. But the world at large has no idea of the impact that Archie Leitch had on the global game, but certainly the game in Britain. And I think this is the opportune moment to make sure that that's not forgotten, but I think to honour the significance that he had on the game.
You mentioned you were speaking with Jim Mitchell from the Historical Trust. How helpful, and what did you learn from Jim?
Oh, you know, what's fascinating about talking with Jim was because he's a fan primarily. I think, you know, I've been very lucky to meet with various different people from various different clubs, but to get the understanding of Archie's work from someone that knows it so sort of truly by experiencing it week in, week out has been fabulous. I think what's most kind of interesting to me is that I most recently was lucky enough to be invited to Goodison for one of the last games of the season. The similarities between Goodison and you can see the Leitchness, as it were, in both. You know, you're looking at Scottish Premiership, you're looking at, you know, former Champions League ground, but the similarities, if you look up at the kind of like the bracework, it's exactly the same. And I think what was really special for me is that I was able to actually get a feel of the original sort of like steelwork, and, you know, that hasn't changed, but the history that is associated with it, there's so much, there's decades of moments that are associated with it. It was just fabulous. It was amazing.
You've had a bit of time to walk around, you've been in that main stand. Is it special going through that main stand and thinking your great-great-grandfather was a part of that?
It's unbelievably, it is unbelievable. It's genuinely such a joy. But I think what's amazing, and I think in my knowledge of Archie through kind of like accounts from members of my family and through the work that Simon did, I think he would not have wanted the kind of pomp and circumstance around how much of an impact he had, but it is so tangible and how much of an impact that he had, even just being here and being in any football ground that he was associated with. But what's fascinating is that, and I was speaking to Simon about this a few years ago, any football match that I've been at, half of the enjoyment has just been being in a ground and being in a football stadium. And I always was wondering where that came from. It always felt a bit strange. And, Jim actually pointed out, he said, it is in the blood. And that is the thing, is that Archie, his legacy is the ground, but I'm hoping that through that bloodline as well, that legacy can continue.
And just lastly, you're going to take in the game this afternoon. Is that the big thing you're looking forward to, just sitting in that stand and taking in a game of football?
It's just, I'm so excited to obviously watch the game and watch this team play in this stadium. I think specifically why I wanted to come here is that this feels almost as close to what we have currently to what Archie would have known this ground to be, and so experiencing it like he would have experienced football is going to be amazing. And I'm looking forward to a win this afternoon for sure.